Welcome back to episode 2 of Everyone Loves Charlie. As you can see, we have definitely upgraded our studio. We're working our way up the ladder. The next stop is going to be the Albert Hall, I tell you that. I'm here today with my friend Howie. Howie, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Howie, and thank you very much for having me on
It's
board.
great to have you on. So me and Howie met, I would say, what, 2 years ago?
No, it was definitely COVID sort of time. Before COVID, like maybe briefly.
Yeah, because we met during just before we went into lockdown. You weren't allowed on holiday.
Yeah, right.
So me and Howie met in Spain. So Howie, you kind of grew up in Spain, right?
Yeah, nice. Half and half. I mean, I moved to Spain when I was about 8-9 years old with my parents, and my family went to school there for a couple of years, and then ended up coming back to the UK for boarding school, and yeah, just always sort of, being back and forth between the two, but definitely count that as a place where
part of your home.
Yeah, massively, definitely.
It's a great place. So Soto seems to be a bit on the uprise. We call it Soto for short. It's Soto Grande, but it seems to be a bit on the uprise. You had a couple of celebrities get married there recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
Not naming any names.
No.
But ever since that day, everyone's like Soto Grande, and we're like, fuck off. We've been going there for years. You've been going there since you were 6 years old, and now everybody wants to come along.
No, literally. I know, now it's like full of people that I don't even recognise anymore. Yeah. It's a very small community. So everyone bumps into each other now. I don't even see my friends. There's too many people there.
There is too many people there. It's getting busier and busier.
But we still go back and have a great time.
We do always go back. We're going back this summer.
Yep, gonna be crazy.
I can't wait. It's kind of like, it's hard to explain to people what Soto Grande is if you don't know. It's kind of like a golfers community, but mixed with a splash of Ibiza.
Yeah, it's sort of its own thing, really. It's not really one or the other. It's not quite a town. It's not quite a village. It's sort of like just en masse playground, basically.
It is a massive playground.
It's a massive playground.
You kind of forget that you have responsibilities when you get there, and everything goes out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I mean, definitely for me anyway.
Yeah, we always leave our dignity at Gatwick.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. So Howie and I have been friends for a while. We've been through many crazy things together, haven't we? We've done lots of crazy things in such a short space of time as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think we just probably, it's not a problem. I think it's a bonus. I think crazy attracts crazy, but also good people as well. So we
crazy does attract us. We kind of set each other off.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite bad influences. I'm in my head. I would have a second thought to be like, you probably shouldn't do this, but then when we're together, I'm like, do it. Yeah. We just egg each other on. It's so bad.
Literally, and just like weirdness. I think the thing is with us and obviously our other friend Ruth as well. Obviously we've got ADHD, but we're all very different versions of that, because as we know, it's a spectrum anyway, and it's not one rule for one. And I think each of us, when we're on one, and say if we're all all of our planets have aligned, call it like that, it's chaos. It is. It's like the wrath. No one can get anything done. We're just the most annoying people in the room, probably.
Loud, shouting, singing,
forgetting everything. I can't do nothing. Always late, always speaking.
Worth the wait.
Exactly. No, definitely.
We had some crazy times, crazy stories. I mean, Howie, you have a crazy story. Your whole life's basically crazy since growing up. To take us back a bit, so give yourself some kind of background and let everyone know a bit of background about you. Let's take you back to when you first started boarding school after Spain. How old were you then?
So must have been about 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. So first started off a mixture between flexi, but I played a lot of hockey. So, I was always obviously playing hockey and boarding at school and stuff like that. But I mean, I've got my group of girls at school, which are like my sisters. And sometimes we talk about the stories and we're like, that is just not normal. And this was back in the time.
You're going to have to share some of these.
I know, I will do. I definitely will do. Back in that sort of time, I think also having ADHD and hyperactiveness, this was not a thing. They were like, yeah, you're dyslexic. That was all it was sort of labelled as. There was never really for me, it was never really diagnosed as here's your ticket, we can help you sort of thing. It was just she's crazy. Let's put her on the sports field, see what she can do. Yeah,
give her a hockey stick. That's wise.
There we go. Yeah. But no, so I think being in a school with such a strict environment was perfect for me, because you're being told where to be on every hour, what to do, how to behave, and not being left to your own devices. However, when we did get left to our own devices, we've definitely done some really strange things as well, and actually bordering on bullying, I would definitely say, like in terms of like just with each other, and we're still closest mates now, so I can tell.
Basically bullied each other into being friends.
Basically bullied each other. It's like, you shall not pass until you're my friend, like literally. But no, like we just sort of like, it was because of, I think, it wasn't known about or anything like that. When you are in such a strict environment, when you do get a bit of free time, you do just sort of go off your head. And like, we didn't have phones then. There was no like phones, no social media. I think we just had Bebo or something like that, right?
I used to
like,
love Bebo.
Way later on, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it must have been my 5th form.
I used to have that little spider you used to feed on it.
Yeah, and the love that you could give every day. And I used to be really angry when my best mate didn't give it to me because I secretly fancied her. I was like, give me your love, she's gonna break up with me. But yeah, that's another story. But yeah, and so I think like we just had our own imaginations to like do stuff, and like we were permanently trying to get drunk. Like permanently trying to be like, I even
in maths,
literally, we'd like, lights would go out and we'd be like, right, what can we do? Like all of our like house masters and mistresses sort of like they lived in the house as well, but like a house attached to the end of the house. And it would just be like, every night would be something of like, right, let's try and get to the other side of the boarding house without getting noticed. I mean, like, that's not even that fun, but at that time, it was the most thrilling, exciting mission you could ever do. And there's those, they had like censored lights.
I'm just picturing like Hogwarts,
literally,
your gowns,
like St. Trinian's mixed with like Hogwarts sort of like vibe. And yeah, we would always get caught or something like that. And so we'd have to do like weird punishments, like they'd like make you clean up all the mugs of all the sick formers and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to be up early, clean up. I get this thing called social seclusion. I got socially secluded.
Oh, I bet that went well for you.
Horrible. Honestly, I had to.
I bet you was in the water.
You have to be followed around. I don't even know what I did wrong for this. Something I did wrong. Oh yeah, basically I do a really good Gollum impression. And
my God, you have to do the Gollum impression, please.
I will. And it's like, basically.
No, you've got to do it now.
I'll say the story. So like, basically we were there, we had, when it was raining in school, you have block and all the houses, there. And we used to cram into this computer room. And there was this little teacher, honestly, she was so tiny. She was called Miss D. And basically, me and my best mate, Mullen, you've met Mullen, haven't you? Yeah, we were just obsessed with Gollum. It just come out, we were like, what is this amazing creature? Spent months perfectioning our Gollums. And like, literally would creep everyone out through the boarding house by doing Gollum and really acting like him. Anyway, so... I mean, it's just great for your brain and imagination, clearly. So Miss D, I don't know what I was doing. I was doing something and she spanned me around. She got really angry at me. She spanned me around and I did a Gollum noise in her face, but she accused me of spitting on her. I was like, I didn't spit on you. Anyway, so she takes me straight to like the head teacher, like deputy head. I get really badly told off and he's like, why are you spitting at teacher? I was like, I didn't spit, I did Gollum. And he's like, what is a Gollum? Like, and I was like, oh, I can show you. And I did it for him. And honestly, his name's Mr. Ibsen. He's this tiny little man. He actually looks like Gollum. And like, he just stood there and he was like, what are you doing? Like, honestly, like, your parents are paying like 30 grand a year to go to a boarding school.
You're just running around like Gollum.
Running around thinking you're some weird creature. And he was like, socially secluded. So socially secluded then means basically you have like a TA or like someone, and her name is Miss Polga. She's from Poland, I think. She didn't speak very good English, but that was to my advantage because like I then couldn't speak to her because I was socially secluded.
Must talk to someone.
Yeah, so I think they stuck me with her. They were like, right, she won't talk to you, so stick with her. And you basically get followed around in between lessons, everything like that. You're not allowed to speak to anyone. You have to sit outside staff room.
They physically stop you talking to people?
Sit and you're in full uniform. You then have to, each break, have to sit outside the staff room. Yeah, I had it for like, and then you have to stay over like on the weekend and like scrape moss off of the path or something like that. Honestly,
there, Gollum scraping.
Yeah, literally like. But yeah, so that was sort of my, I want to say maybe 13, 14 sort of year old like fascination, maybe 15 actually, during school. But I think with us, like at that stage, we were all a bit fascinated by boys. Yes, I had a stage where I was just trying to blend in really. I was like, ooh.
Just wanted to fit in with the crowd.
I was just trying to fit in with the girls, like trying to hide the fact that obviously I was gay. and still am, obviously. But yeah, and so during that sort of time, we were like a bit fascinated with like sneaking out or sneaking boys in the room and like doing all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I wonder if Mr. Richardson, my housemaster, he's still got me on social media, so he's probably thinking,
we're going to see this.
You little shit. That's why the window screws were loose. Like literally stuff.
You used to climb through the windows?
Yeah, I used to do loads of stuff. We would try push the windows open, just try and get out. And it's in the middle of nowhere, the school is. It's in Odium, like in Hampshire. Like there's the nearest thing's like an RAF base. Like I don't know what we were sneaking out to. We'd like sneak out.
Go and steal a plane.
Yeah, literally. Like we'd sneak out to a cornfield and be like, whoa, let's go
like
back
Theresa
now.
May running through the wheats of barley.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, so that's sort of like with school and sort of like boarding sort of things. I mean, the thing is like a lot of the stories that we sort of done, like we were just like a loose cannon of, you know, girls of like just hitting
wanting to let loose
puberty. Yeah. And what we did with Mullen like once is I don't really know how we actually got away with this. Like we were all a bit obsessed with being naked as well. So like, as you are. And so like we would have like things like we had like a bogey wall where like you literally had this wall of bogeys and you'd push, if someone was really annoying you, you'd just create a trap and you'd push them against it, roll them against. It's actually disgusting when you think about it. It's disgusting. And like, what we would take these things.
A bogey wall.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Honestly, now if I ever,
it's still there.
Oh, it's there, probably. I don't know. I feel sorry for
Crusty
anyone.
wall.
It honestly was. It was like polka dot wall. Like, yeah.
That's so disgusting.
It's disgusting. These are, you know, we're girls as well. It's disgusting. And like, one of the other things, like, what we used to we do is, we had these like big wooden beds, like there was mattresses on them, but like just boxes basically, and big like boxes of like wardrobes. And like, we take each other's mattresses away, put it on someone's mattress and make your bed and be like, well, let's all run and jump in the room and jump on the bed. And like, whoever didn't have the mattress would just be hitting. Like, we just do like stupid shit like that. But, other than that, like, yeah, we were all just a bit obsessed with being naked. And for some reason, I got this like fragile tape. I don't know where it came from. I just brought it from home. It was like, oh, what can you bring in next week sort of thing? Like some weird shit that you find at home. And we basically stripped Mullen, you know Mullen, so you can say, stripped her naked, tied her up in fragile tape, dragged her down the corridor, sellotaped her to the housemaster's front door, rang the housemaster door, and she just basically, she was going, he's like the head of PE as well, he was like really strong guy, and he was like trying to open the door, and she's like, no, sir, no, don't. He's like, Mullen, and opens it, and she looks like a naked mole rat, because she's like young then, she like opens the door, and she's just there like hanging, like butt naked, like stark bollock naked, and he's just like, oh my God, like screaming, like, yeah, but that's basically sort of like those sort of stories of a boarding school, really. I think
I always hear people that went to boarding school, I didn't go, but people that do go, I've always got crazy stories of shit they used to get up to in the evenings, because you just have to find something to fill your time with. Yeah. So it's like,
yeah, it's definitely. But the thing is, like, I'm still close with, like, we've got a really big group of boys and girls actually, and we're still all quite close. Don't see each other as much anymore, but like, I do anything for any one of them. Do you know what I mean? You spend so much time with them, and like, you do go through, through it. You and Mullen's probably one of your best friend from school. Right? Yeah, super close. Like all my girls, I've got like Lizzie, Mullen, Hayley, Ali, and Em. Like we're all really, really close. But Mullen, I see definitely the most.
Did you ever get down to who had the best Gollum impression?
Me.
You or Mullen?
Me. You were there when we had a Gollum competition.
She did go 110%. She got on the floor and crawled.
I did as well. That's why my jeans were red.
Yeah. Do it. Please do the noise. You don't have to do the crawling. Let's just
don't do the crawling. Okay. What should I do? Just the classic line.
Yeah.
Okay. My choices. The stupid fat tablets. You got to spit with her as well.
You got to spit with it. So you did spit on her.
I did. Yes. She didn't know that. She's probably dead now. Yeah.
Poor Miss B.
Miss D.
Miss D. Poor Miss D. So as you said previously, obviously you were flirting and stuff around with guys because at the time that's what you thought you wanted, and now obviously you know that it's not. So I'm guessing you've kind of been on a journey of self-discovery. So talk me through that. How did that happen? When did it start? I think the thing is that the self-destruct sort of guy sort of thing actually was complete defense, because I knew I was lesbian. Like I always thought I wanted to be. You knew from a young age.
I knew from straight away. Yeah. Like I didn't know what a lesbian was, because it's such a taboo subject, and it just wasn't in any of my parents' conversation. It was almost like if someone was gay or lesbian, it was like, shh, don't talk about them in front of the kids sort of thing. Like it was very much like that. So it wasn't anything like we're products of what our parents are. We're products of what we're exposed to, and if you're not exposed to something, it's always going to be new, and it can feel like a taboo basically. So I think subconsciously deep down knowing that, like, you know, like most probably people could relate, you know, figuring out that you are obviously different and you are obviously gay or lesbian or however way you want to recognize yourself, you know, give yourself your label. You suppress it and you want to blend in.
Yeah.
You want to blend in as much as you can, because the feeling of like, I carry still to this day, like I always have a guilt, like I have no idea where it comes from or anything like that. But
it's kind of socially ingrained though, isn't it? And I think that's pretty where it comes from, is that for a long time it was socially ingrained that it wasn't acceptable.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And so I think the whole, if you look from my sort of teens, maybe from like 15, 16, all the way up to probably 29 years old, was on a path of like self-destruction. Like, and it just got, as you get older, you just get more, free. Yeah. You get more like, you know, you can do
what kind of things what would you say was like your worst things that you would do that you today, like that was so self-destructive? Like what kind of things did you do?
Oh, just like 3-day benders, like absolute major, like massively, like, you know, like it's like obviously all fun and games and stuff like that, but actually the real deep root of it was, you know, just avoiding, you know, sort of wanting to escape. You know, it's escapism, like massive sort of, also very reckless behavior in terms of like, you know, money and just being like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, whatever, steal about it later. Like very like sort of like selfish decision makings from my side that, you know, my parents would have to bail me out on, or like keeping like a secret because of that is actually really dangerous things that happen. Like, and it was just sort of like, you know, and I think the main sort of self-destruction is definitely like drink, drugs, alcohol, that sort of things, like from that side. And I know that I did go through quite a bad phase of like self-harming as well, which obviously like, you know, isn't very light-hearted, but it's real. It does what happened. It is what happened. And but that was massively roped into probably like I want to say maybe 25, 26, sort of that sort of era. Yeah, because I think it just got to the point where I was like,
it made you do more reckless decisions? I mean, there's one story that I do know about you that I really want you to talk about, because I still to this day think it's the funniest fucking thing ever, is jumping out of a moving car because you're pissed off.
When I punched my dad?
Yeah,
night before my brother's wedding.
Yeah, because this is to do with being like slightly making like a funny comment or something you didn't like. Yeah, and you were just like, fuck this. You got to tell the story.
Oh, well, basically, me and my dad have, you know, I love my dad to pieces, like I do. I mean, we're probably quite similar in certain ways, but we've always had like the weirdest relationships of stuff. Like, it was the night before my brother's wedding as well. Good one. And literally we had like welcome drinks and then the wedding the next day, and then it was like another drinks. And like mum, everyone, obviously I'm always under strict. There's always like the rules.
You've got a leash around you.
Yeah, there's like, whenever there's like a family event or any form of event, there's like the way the night is going to go for the public and the rules for Howie. Like, it's like, this is what it should be, and this is your rules. Like, and I think like that, and
you can have 2 drinks, Howie, you can't have any
no,
drinks.
literally don't. And I literally was like, no, I don't think, all that day I was like, I'm not going to drink that much. I'm not going to drink tonight. Like, no, cool, calm, cucumbered. And literally I was like, I don't know what even happened. My dad is an amazing person. He has a bit of a homophobic undertone. I don't know whether it's a rugby mentality, Swansea boy sort of thing, but it's purely like, I know he doesn't mean it. It's just like, for some reason, he's just got that, I think it's old school changing room mentality. Yeah. And when he's had a drink, it comes out. And so a comment was said, which I still to this day can't even remember what it was. Anyway, and I'm trying to I'm absolutely bladdered. Like, you know, the wedding's the next day. I've got to be at the hair and makeup, whatever it's called, for like 10 o'clock the next morning. And like, so then all of a sudden I'm getting more and more drunk. And I want to go out. And they're like, you're not allowed out, get in the car. Anyway, me and dad are basically having this argument. My uncle's there as well. And I think my auntie Susan, which is my dad's sister, we're all in this taxi, just literally, you know where Gigi's is? It's just at the end of the road. We're going down. And for some reason, me and dad are like arguing about something in the car, and the taxi man's just driving, and so I literally just punched dad in the side of the head as he was driving and jump out of a moving car. Like,
you were just like, fuck this.
I was getting out, I'm going out, like literally I'm out, and like straight away, and like literally my house was only like, I don't know, like 100 meters up that way anyway. So I was literally just like stepped out, and I just remember thinking, I was like, as soon as I did it, I was like, this car's moving, do it anyway. Like, you know, that's the thing. I was like,
that's his own sub bit of your brain. There's like, most normal people would say, I shouldn't jump out of a moving car, but your brain's like, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine because you've just punched your dad and he's going to punch you back inside the car, like that sort of thing. By the way, he doesn't punch me, but like, yeah. But no, I just, that's probably like, do you know what? That was probably the last time at this age now that I had that real self-destruct thing again. In obviously that wasn't too long ago, and I hadn't had one of those sorts of episodes, as call it or whatnot, for a very long time. And then I think I was obviously sober for a bit last year, and then you know obviously started drinking again. Not like I'm an alcoholic, but as in
didn't last.
Didn't last. Got bored of that. And so with you know, at that period of time, and then I think those things are sometimes quite good to be like, actually rain check a minute, like you know, you don't want to be in that sort of thing, you know, that person. And I don't really punch people, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't walk around punching people. Like, I just get a bit angry sometimes with my dad.
No, you're not a vicious person at all.
No.
But if someone needed punching, I think you would be there to punch them.
I 100% would. My problem is that like, I actually never ever start fights. I got no intention of doing it, but I'm just so loyal. I'll just jump in and be like, here we go.
Didn't you get into a fight with your dad? Like you and your dad got into a fight with someone else or something?
Yeah.
And then you ended up, something happened, what?
So basically, we actually, it was actually after our staff party, which makes it 10 times worse as well. CEO and CEO's daughter gets arrested, like literally like after work's party. We basically were ascot races, like some kid, not the Royal Week, and the bouncers were being like absolute knobheads. They were like, we had the whole like pub was just full of people that we work with, and they were like really crashing through, knocking people over. And my dad's just sort of like getting a bit pissed off about it because they kept knocking his drink into him. So he like stuck his arm out. At this point, I was at the bar, and like he stuck his arm out like by this, like the bouncers are big void-head guys, and he was like, "Man, what are you doing? Like you just, you know, like." You know,
barging over. Power trip.
He probably said something like, you keep doing that, I'll fucking smack you or something like that. He probably actually said that. So like, because there's no way that this bouncer is going to take you over a table for no reason. So then they get into a huge fight. I then literally just rang my sister to come pick us up. I was like, right, we're done. I just turned around, I was like, oh shit. I just see my dad over this table, and I'm like, my dad's from Swansea, by the way. So you've got to put that in your mind. He is a proper Swansea boy. Like, you know, they don't talk, they use their fists. Like they're just like, you know, that's just how he's like, whatever. And I'm proud of him for that matter sometimes. Anyway, so jump involved. I'm like, oh God. So it's like this brawl. Then we get dragged out to the side of the bar. It's like an alley that's just off the road. All of the pub has come out then. And like, literally like everyone, there's like 3 guys around my dad, and I'm like trying to stop them. He's also trying to stop me. I've got this one big, massive bouncer that's basically grabbing me by my neck. And like, that's the only thing that saved me as well, because he was basically like pushing my head against this like side. And then I was worried my dad was going to have a heart attack. I was actually just trying to get to him, stop, but obviously making everything worse. And there's a lot of alcohol involved. So grabbing me, and then I remember doing self-defense at boarding school, funny enough. One thing I did learn. One thing I did learn. And I remember like, they were like, if you're ever like, you know, stuck in a situation and someone's got you by your neck, you like, use your whole body weight and drop it down on your elbows, sort of thing. And you know, by doing that, it breaks their grip. And as he comes down, I just punched him in his throat. And then kick him in his balls.
Bosh.
He's like kicking him in his balls, and I'm like, oh my God, where did that come from? But as I've seen that, the manager's seen it and rang the police. So he's rang the police, and the police are great. Like they needed to simmer the situation down, of course. And he basically, the police turned up and they grabbed my dad, and my dad was like, and my sister just turned up. She'd just been doing a photo shoot in London or somewhere like this. So she had all this really weird makeup on, and she was like in her pajamas, not expecting to get out. Like, what is going on? She tells the story like, I was coming up and all of a sudden it was like this cheese string. She calls me cheese string, and like it literally is like flying hair everywhere, like this massive brawl. And I'm like, my dad just like gets his handcuffs on him or whatever, and he's like, Amy, run, like run. So I'm like, oh, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm running away from the police. Like, well, how has my life got to this bit? Yeah. Like, what? Why am I running? Like, who does this? I always shout at people on TV, like, oh, why would you run away from the police? You're obviously going to get caught. Yeah. Anyway, they're like,
running away from the police.
Literally, they rugby tackled me. And then, like, put me and Dad in the car, and they take us to Maidenhead police cell, and we were hammered. So yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you're being done for assault." I was like, "Assault?" I was like, "What? He touched me first," but they had to wait for video evidence. Dropped all the charges, but I remember literally, I remember being in my cell, being in my cell, and I was at first of all, it's literally just like a gym mat that you get on like a little raised bit. Obviously your toilet and stuff. It's like a little intercom. So at first I think, oh, the adrenaline, everything. I just got in there and passed out. They kept questioning me, and I was just like, I'm just too drunk to answer. I was like, this is just so stupid. I kept changing my story 5 times. I was like, don't know if that happened. Don't know if that happened. Do you know what I mean? At the time I was
punched the guy. No, I didn't.
I didn't touch it.
I did not punch that guy.
It was not me. But the thing is actually that the funny side of the story was actually how nice the police were with me. They were just so chill. They could see I wasn't a bad person.
Well, you can look at you and you would be like, you're not gonna destroy someone. Do you know
no,
what I mean?
they did ask me. They did ask me where I knew how to fight like that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you say? I said I did self-defense lessons at school.
Yeah, I did self-defense.
Miss D taught me.
Yeah. And I could do really good Gollum impression actually as well. So the thing is that they had this intercom, right? That's in your room. I was about to call it a dorm then, dormitory. And I kept I kept ringing. I was like, "Hello, hi, me again." And
double cheeseburger.
Yeah, basically. I was like, "I'm actually really thirsty." They're like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Drink, obviously." And they're like,
vodka lemon,
please. I'll have a pint. And then they brought me food drinks first of all, and then I rang again. I was like, "I'm actually really cold. Do you have a blanket?" And they gave me a full grey tracksuit, grey. Yeah,
still got it.
Yeah, still got it. It's really oversized. Gave me a grey tracksuit, and I was just sat there literally. They strip you of everything, all my jewelry. They take everything off you. So I literally sat. I was 14 and a half hours in this cell. Yeah.
How did your mum find out? That's what I want to know.
That was Holly deliverance, because my mum was at home, and apparently she was watching TV, and Holly was shitting herself. She was like, oh my God, they're arrested. I haven't come home with them. what am I going to say?
I can imagine her really panicking.
And my mum is the kindest, most she's just such a little, she's a bit hippie, very, very calm, but also has a temper like an Irish person. You don't want to mess with her. So you never know. And she basically went in. Holly was like, Mum was watching Downton Abbey or something, and she's got it on there, and she was like, yes, paused her TV. She's like, I need to tell you something. And Mum's like, where's the guys? And Holly's like, they've been arrested. Mum's like, apparently Mum literally looked at her and was like, just switched it back on and was like, just carried on watching. And Holly's like, what do we do? She was like, nothing. Just absolutely fuming.
We leave them.
There's nothing we can do this, because obviously she can't get it. I was like, you've been here before. I was like, in my head, obviously I don't know anything about it. And no, by the way, you don't get a phone call.
You don't get one phone call?
No, you don't get a phone call. It's not real. It's not TV.
What a lie.
I kept ringing. At first I was like,
I want my phone call.
Yeah, I was like, hello, me again.
I can imagine the tannoy. They must think, that fucking girl.
Literally.
Let's just let her go.
Get her out.
Yeah.
And I remember I kept ringing on it. I was like, I'm really hungry. They got me some food, whatever, microwave meal sort of thing. And then in the end, they have staff that work in that place, what was called, jail? I don't know what's called.
Jail.
Yeah, it's just police station. And they had my door open, and I was just sat in my bed chatting to them hey,
just trying to
don't leave me. I was like, I need people. Please question me again.
I must talk to someone, or I talk to the wall.
Yeah, literally. And anyway, at one point I was really need to see if my dad's alive. I was really concerned he's gonna have a heart attack or something. So I rang again, because I'd already asked for my phone call, and they said no. I was like, oh, okay. Well, how do I know that? How am I gonna get picked up? Do you know what I mean? So then I was like, hello, me again. And they were like, what? And I was like, I need to see if my dad's okay. And they were like, look, we've told you, you can't speak, you will be let out soon. And I was like, no, he's actually in here somewhere with me. And they were like, you could hear the person and literally break up and hang up the phone and be like, oh, what's his name? And I was like, blah, 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 said his name. And they were like, and I was like, can you just let me know if he's okay? And then waiting by thing, it's they're like, yeah, he's fine, he's sleeping. And I was like, okay, thank you. Literally went to bed. Anyway, I made great friends with everyone there. I was like, because they kept...
do you still have close contact prison friends?
Still have
got a group chat.
Group chat on that. No. WhatsApp group. So they were really nice to me. And they I'm
assuming you just get put in with just girls, right? You don't get put in, it's not mixed.
I was on my own.
Oh, it's a single cell.
I was a single cell on my own.
I thought you went in and
No, it's not Orange is the New Black. I would have been I love it here.
Yeah, you'd love it. You'd be like, look at these girls.
Look at this. I could be the great ringer, like that sort of person, like my little gang. No, it's not like you're literally in your own room on your own for 14 hours. Honestly, I was literally like...
Yeah, that would drive me up the wall.
Yeah, and the thing is the noises around, because obviously there's other people in the prison, jail, whatever it is, and it's like screaming. I was like, wow, if there's life lesson, I was like, I never ever want to go to prison. Like,
I never want to go to prison ever again.
Ever again. But anyway, they were like, yeah, you can go, you can go, you can be free. So I'm like getting my stuff on like reception, everything's in little bags, my clothes, I'm in my tracksuit, and I'm like, oh, thanks guys, like, thank you, being like polite as well. I just see my dad like walking down the corridor. He's like ripped, freezing, covered in ripping thing, and he's like, get your stuff, we're going. I was like, I've had such a good time. He's like, what the fuck? He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he was like, get in the car. And
I made friends, I don't want to leave.
He was like, where'd you get that tracksuit from? I was like, well, I asked for it and I had a blanket and food. He was like, I got nothing. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But then we get home and everyone's like, no, Dad's like, do not tell anyone that story. I was like, yeah, no, don't worry, I won't.
And here we are.
Here we are. Don't worry, he doesn't know how to use podcasts or anything like that. Social media. And then I remember we were at this dinner party in like Spain, and he's down one end of the table and I'm down one end of the table, like kids down one end or whatever. And all of a sudden I hear him telling all his friends the real story, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to tell everyone the real story now as well. But yeah. So that was experience.
Story. At least you did it with your dad, because you can't really say, remember that time you got arrested? Because you can say, remember the time you got arrested?
Yeah, exactly.
They can never use that as like, to blackmail you, because you can be like, you were arrested as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I need some of that. I need some kind of something against my dad like that. I think I need some kind of, I'm going to send him to jail.
I'm going to send him to jail. Support him for something he didn't do.
Yeah.
Fraud.
Yeah, he hasn't got a TV license.
Yeah. I'm actually quite scared of those people.
Yeah, same. Yes.
I actually, no. Yeah, no, that I mean, it wasn't my most proudest moments, and I actually probably come across like I'm like a really violent person. Like, I'm actually not.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not a violent person, but I do know self-defense. I will do a Gollum impression. I will punch you in the throat, but I am not a vicious person at all.
I'm not. If you're my friend, you will be well protected.
Yeah.
Literally.
But I think this isn't the first time, from what I can recall, that you've had an encounter with the police, or so to speak. So
as much as I've obviously had many encounters and sort of like crazy sort of stories, like on reflection, like I said, there are obviously stories in there. They've actually made me who I am. Like, do you know what I mean? So this one time in Spain where we were a bit younger this time as well. I was in early 20s. We decided to have a night in and just maybe eat some pizza, smoke some hash, try and be all cool. Cool.
To be hip.
Trying to be hip hop and cool. And we actually have like the house in Spain, we always think there's like, it's haunted as well. We're like, oh, creepy. So like basically like we decided to smoke some hash and chill. And then like all of a sudden like paranoia set in, I think it was. At the time, we did not know it was paranoia, but we thought someone was breaking into the house from the outside. So we were like, oh, like there's people trying to get in the house. But the thing is, there was, that like ripple effect.
Yeah.
Like this is
one
so
person
true.
starts,
one
and then
person
someone else starts, and then you all start making each other worse. Yeah.
And next thing you know, it was like, I don't know how many people that we were actually in there with. There was a good 12 of us, I reckon. And we were like, there's people.
You managed to convince 12 people that someone was breaking into the house.
Literally, yeah. And I was like, I've got to ring the police. Like one of our friends who could speak Spanish, she was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I was like, we've got to ring the police. Ring the police. And so she rings the police and basically says, there's a group of girls, I think we had one boy with us, like, it's a group of girls, we think people are trying to break into the house. Obviously, that's quite a serious thing to call in. And we lock ourselves in the garage. And I remember literally, I was like, if we can lock ourselves in here, then if the people are breaking into the house, they can't get into here. And then we can open the gate from here to let the police in. So I remember we got a phone call when the police were going to be outside, not ring the buzzer, because, and I remember opening the gate and I all of a sudden was like, oh my God, what have I done? And there was beaming lights come in, Guardia Civil, and obviously they have guns anyway, so it's not it's not but it felt like for me, the only thing I could think about was SWAT, and they literally came in the
big black cars with AKs,
that, and they come into the drive and just spread themselves around the whole of the perimeter and just marched in, just searched everything. They were looking under Lilos. They were looking under Lilos in the pool.
Little leprechaun.
And I remember being like, oh my God, what have I done? And they were like,
that would have pained me out even more. If I was already tripping and then I have the swap turn up, I would, my heart would stop.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely did. I was like, how am I going to explain this? How am I
going to tell my mum?
How am I going to explain this to anybody? Because everyone on the road, because you know it's a very small town village, has seen a load of like Guardia Civil cars outside my house, and everyone knows where my house is.
It's like Hot Fuzz, isn't it?
Literally, I was like, oh God. Anyways, this Guardia Civil man was like, my friend was translating, and he was like, there's no one here, and it doesn't look like anyone's even attempted to break in. And he was like, have you been taking drugs? And I was like, yes. Yes, we have. Lots of hash. Is that legal here? Like, I was just like, yes.
Wait, I might change my answer. Is that legal?
Is that legal?
No, okay, no, it wasn't.
No, I was like, and he literally was like, just did not see the funny sides about it. I was like,
they're very serious people.
Very serious. Like so serious. And then I was just looking at deadpan. I was just like, no, yes. Like,
I swear there was someone here.
I swear okay, it's a ghost. Like, if it's not a person, it's the ghost that we've all been freaking out. We need to get an exorcism. What do I call for that?
Yeah.
Like, is there a department here that can help me with that? But yeah.
Extension line 3.
Exorcism, fire department. But yeah, I mean, like, they're all fun times. And actually, my dad actually found out about that bit.
Oh,
because I don't know how he found out about it. Oh no, I do know how. He, you know, like all the security gates as you go in Soto.
Yeah.
He had to collect something from the security gate, and obviously the Guardia were coming through the security, and they have to tell them what house they're going to.
Yeah.
And so he went to collect. I think he collected something for a boat or something like that.
Yeah.
For the summer pass to get into the port or whatever. And then because the security man was like, oh, like, you know how. You had the police at your house the other day, and he was like, what? He was like, when? And he was like, they gave him the date. Yeah. He was like, I wasn't here then, my daughter was. And he was like, what the fuck? And he's like ringing me, he's like,
Amy,
why do you have the police at the house? I was like, someone was breaking in. It's serious. He's like,
oh, I can't believe it. You managed to get that high from some house that you thought people were breaking in. That's some scary shit.
And I don't even smoke any of that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not me. I was just obviously showing off. My problem is I used to have a real bad show off button. Mm-hmm. And like that show off button.
I can do that.
Yeah, I could do it, do anything. Like, give me any drug or whatever. But like, yeah, and like drinking, like, you know, who can down all these pints the most? Like, just that sort of thing. But then I think that's genuinely like social anxiety. Yeah. Like 100%.
You have to drink through it. I used to have social anxiety. You have to, it was weird. It would be like after... I still get it now. I get like pre-night out anxiety.
Same.
Like before the night out, before the festival, I'm like, I get this weird feeling in my stomach. Yeah. And I start getting a bit of the shakes, but then after a couple of tequilas, it's gone.
That's the thing. That's exactly the same as me. And I never really understood. Obviously you don't understand it. Like, I think the whole thing is actually like, you know, with all these sorts of, you know, stories and whatever, it's like, I was just basically pushing away the relationship that was important, which was the one with myself. I was in lots of different relationships with other women, and you know, not never really focusing on the relationship with myself, and didn't want to. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to. I was like, no, like let's like keep just having fun. Life's about having fun. Like, you know, like just avoiding reality really, and the like sort of owning.
It made you party harder almost as well, didn't it?
Yeah, well, no, it definitely did, because like I'm actually quite an introvert. Like I'm actually like an introvert extrovert. Like I quite enjoy like quiet time. Yeah, like, you know, like
time to unwind. Social battery runs out.
Social battery,
that's definitely an element of ADHD as well, isn't it? So you get overly stimulated, so excited like a kid in a candy shop. Yeah. And afterwards you're like, everyone, fuck off. I don't want to see anyone.
Yeah. You just want to sit on your own.
You want to sit on my own and eat McDonald's.
Yeah, literally. And I just think like, I think there's a lot more tools out there now, and there's a lot more people discussing it now, not thinking like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why do I always get so weird before a night out? Or why does it, you know, like now we can openly talk about it and be like, like I don't know if I'm feeling this tonight, guys. I'm not sure whether it's the situation. I don't know if it's the environment. Like I didn't realize that actually, I love festivals and things like that, as you know, but I didn't realize that loud noises really, really affect me. Like I've got this thing called misophonia and like tinnitus and stuff like that. That's probably from all the parties. But like, working.
What's that loud noise?
What's that noise? Oh, it's just ringing in my ear. I'm crazy. And like all those sorts of things. But like as I've sort of like, you know, there's more tools for you to be aware of that sort of stuff. And actually in those environments, I think my body was secretly being like, oh, like you're not suited for that environment, even though you still love it, because you've actually got this, this and this. But at the time I didn't know that was a problem. But yeah.
Matt just went, my ADHD then went,
yeah.
Did you see that? My brain went, whoa.
Yeah.
I get with my ADHD, mine's not so much the noises, mine's sensory overload.
Yeah, that's...
Mine's like, if I get in the car and the seatbelt's at the wrong way, I'm gonna fucking kill it. Like, it just winds me up so much. I get so wound up by the smallest little thing.
Yeah, you do.
Like, if something that scratches the back of my neck, I'm like, get it off! And I have to tear the shirt off. Like, I don't know what it is. It's so weird. It's like I go from being completely fine to I want to murder myself. I'm like, ah!
Murder myself. Strangle me with a seatbelt. No, mine's like, I hate whistling. Like, absolutely hate whistling. Like, yeah, like, oh God. I would actually, I like sit in the office and I'm like,
thinking about ways to hurt people.
I'm like, who the fuck's that? Oh, it's the new guy. I can't say anything to him. Someone tell him, hey, John, Ernesto, Brian is whistling again. Can you please tell him to stop? Did he not know the company office rules?
Did you know the company code? No whistling.
No whistling. Absolutely drives me insane. Honestly, like my friend Ben and Anne that I sit next to.
For whistling. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I am always say that. I was like, obviously my brother's MD, and I'm like, can we not put something in writing, please, so people know? Or put some signs up. Put some signs up.
The company has a no whistle policy because we have one member of staff that gets overwhelmed
with
by
whistling. It's pure anger. Yeah. But also, who the fuck feels the need to whistle? It's like me walking down the street going, hello. It's the same. No one would walk around singing. Like, I don't understand it. It's fucking rude.
Yeah.
Like,
quite frankly, it's rude.
Honestly, I've had to leave a restaurant before after I've ordered my mains because this man is sat there sitting on his own whistling whilst being on his phone, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, who does that? I was gonna tell him to stop, but in the end, like, I'm also really polite, so it's like I have this like real demon inside of me, and then it's like this, like, well, so then in the end I was like, look, sorry, can we cancel the mains? I've got to, you know,
gotta go, my house is on fire.
Gotta go, like, plan to come up, he's whistling, like, but I thought I was going crazy, honestly. And
I never knew that about you. That's hilarious.
Honest, it's bad. Like, Erin was whistling in the taxi on the way home last night, and I was like, can you stop whistling? I hate it.
I'm going to murder you.
Stop. Hate whistling. She goes, oh yeah, I knew that. And I'm like, oh. But yeah, no. I mean, it all triggers with sort of being neurodiverse.
Yeah, you have those things that trigger you for sure. God, and we were talking about festivals earlier. You said you loved like the festivals and stuff. You've done Hideout Festival, is that correct?
Yeah.
You had a pretty wild time at Hideout.
Yeah, we went I think the first and second year it opened. It was fun. Me and my best mate that lives in Australia, Hannah, we were that is my person where I actually went and visited her earlier this year in Australia, and like, it's just so nice to see us now. We really know who each other are in terms of, like, I think we both were just like reckless, like both running away from a lot of our own sort of like our own selves. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, like, we've just grown up, and it's quite nice to like have that relationship now where we can just be like, bedtime, 2 in the morning, or like, you know, like, and whatever. You can
probably reflect back on some, it's because you've both been through that. Yeah. You've both got crazy stories together. So now you've made it through that bit alive.
Literally mental. Honestly, some of the stories, all my university stories, Hannah is with us both. Like, I was such a bad influence as well to anyone that was around me. I was literally like a tornado. It was like, you know, like, let's
Hurricane
go.
Howie.
Literally Hurricane Howie. When we're in Croatia, like, I like died once. I literally watched myself on the beach, and like, I don't know if anyone's been to Hideout. It's like literally this massive hill as you go down. It's like on this island called Pag, and it's like on this massive, like, huge, beautiful beach.
And you got like the clubs along the beach.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, and like, you party till like a really early morning anyway, and like all night, whatever. And but this time obviously we'd been out, we'd been like partying for, I don't know. We decided also to book Croatia and get to Croatia, rent a car, like the in-betweeners car. We called it Creme de la Creme. Honestly, it was this tiny little thing. We had no sat nav then, and we didn't have like iPhones. We think we were just using like Sony Ericssons. You know, there was no thing. So we we just got off as a Grab, and we were like, we got a TP. I got a TP, and we were like, we're just gonna go with the flow. Like, we're just going to
We're
drive
just going to go where the creme de la creme takes us.
We're going to drive down Croatia coast and we're just going to go with it. And we stopped off the most amazing places and we just put up a teepee in these camps, amazing campsites. And anyway, we were just like partying, non-sleep, and met like really random people. I've actually got the map of Croatia tattooed on me because we both fell in love with the drug dealer that also told us we were tattoo artists. That also, for some reason, we both decided to fight over. We used to fight as well because we're like sisters. We used to be like, I want him, like, you know, that sort of thing. And we were both showing off and decided to get the map of Croatia tattooed on our side. We're not even Croatian. And like, at the time, it was the time when YOLO came out, so we decided to try and make our own one called Fish. Fuck it, shit happens. So we got like a fish tattooed on it as well. But anyway, so we're in Pag, and we haven't slept, and it was a heat wave, so we weren't really allowed in our like tents. So we would take our like lilos down to the sea, loads of people would, and you'd sort of like be like lying on the lilo in the sea, and we were like linked to each other. You know, the ones with like holes in, and we were like linked, like, top and tail. And we actually just completely passed down. We don't even know how long it was. Anyway, we woke up and we had drifted so like far out to sea. We literally, the thing is, I don't know if you've ever been that far out to sea where your brain starts thinking is you see the horizon of things around you. And actually, like, we didn't know
which. Like Castaway.
Basically, and I was like, so I woke up first and I was like, I thought I was still dreaming. I honestly thought I was having like one of those weird dreams, and I woke up and I was like, oh God. I was like, Hannah, wake up, whatever. And we both have such weird memories. And then we were like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I think it's this way. Let's just paddle in. Like, because what we could see, it must be. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, we're stuck out to sea. It's so hot as well. We don't know what time it is. I don't know how long it's been.
This is literally like a film. Like,
yeah, no,
either Jaws or one of those ones where will they dehydrate first?
Yeah, literally, like
sunburn.
Well, we were, because obviously we'd been like, you know, at a festival, so we were fucked as well. Like,
haven't eaten.
Literally, like, and in my head I was like, I actually realised I'm really good in panicky situations. Like, I panic about the weirdest shit. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss the train. I'm gonna miss the train. I'm gonna miss the flight. You're 5 hours early. You're not gonna miss the flight. However, when it's like an emergency,
I'm like actually hyper-focused.
Hyper-focused. How we do it? So like, we were both a bit like, oh, and I was like, right, we either need to stop swimming or we need to swim. Like, either way, we're going to get thirsty, dehydrated, tired, whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we were just like, fucking hell. We both started laughing. Like, we were just like, this is actually ridiculous.
I would cry.
Like, I was like,
not laugh.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we yeah, literally, I was like, and like, you know, like, we then we're just like sort of paddling our way into what we thought was the shore, and then we see a boat and we're like, that's a boat. That is a boat. So we're like waving at this boat, just in these bikinis, like, yoo, two blonde girls, like, woo. Anyway, and these like rough, like, I've never seen people that look like this, like Serbian fishermen, just come up with like fags in their mouth, a bit like, in my head, I'm like, we're either going to drown.
Swim, actually.
Like, we'll swim. We'll swim. Yeah, literally. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, right, we're either going to be taken away by these people never seen again. But as you know, I was like, I could take these people on. I can fight.
I know self-defense.
So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, right, it's that answer. It's like, get on the boat or basically drown or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, we got to get on this boat. I was like, he helped us up on the boat. And like, obviously, language barrier. And we were like, festival. Like, trying to like dance.
We need to go back to the party.
We were like, beach. Like, and obviously they were like, who are these? And then they
YMCA.
Literally, and then we were like trying to point at land, and they were like, there's like, obviously it's actually like a massive like spit.
Yeah.
Basically, like where
comes out of Croatia.
Yeah, it comes out. So it was the sea, but it was like if you kept swimming, you would have hit land basically. Yeah. Whichever way that would have been, except for if we had gone out that way, I think we would have gone out to the actual sea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get on the boat and we're like, and we're just like looking at each other, and I'm like, fucking hell. I was like, oh my God, like, this is the weirdest thing ever.
That's incredibly scary.
Yeah.
Then it got even scarier.
Super lucky though.
That is super lucky.
Super lucky. Like, of all the and then he just offered us beers, and we were like, yeah, like, yeah.
Let's go again. Round two.
All on mass. Like, yeah, take us in. And then, yeah, they took us in, and we actually saw our other friends who had like sort of drifted out, but they weren't as far as us. They could see land.
On the way back in.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Oh, it's happened to you too. Like, yeah. All jumped on all jumped to sea.
I'm just picturing this bay of like half asleep people drifting away out to sea.
Honestly, it would have had to be like that, because so many people were were doing that because we weren't allowed in our tent.
Why was nobody waking them up? If I saw someone out quite deep, it was quite deep, and they were asleep, you would go and wake them up.
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't be.
I don't know. I think
just be like, oh look,
I think people were just doing it. There were so many people in the water as well at the start, so it's probably very easy to get like lost. So yeah, and that was quite a scary story. Like that was quite a scary time at the time because I was like, well, that on
that's
reflection,
the situation that you're dealing with natural elements. That's something we're not made for water.
No.
So like that kind of thing is like there's no, if that boat hadn't have come, you would have been seriously
stuck. Yeah, because like at the end of the day,
there would have been a documentary on Netflix about it.
Yeah.
The two Lilo girls.
The two Lilo girls. The two Lilo girls. And then we just carried on partying. I actually ended up in the medical tent that night.
So this has been a wild day. You fell asleep, woke up out to sea, like drift away.
Yeah.
Serbian pirates.
Yeah, fishermen.
And then medical tent.
Yeah. I think
so all in all,
I had severe dehydration.
Yeah, because you probably went straight back to the beers.
Yeah, we went straight into the party. We went straight in. I was like,
should have gone to the medical tent after the drift away scenario, yeah.
And they basically, I don't actually know how I ended up there. Oh no, that was it. They found me passed out by the water tap. They found me
so close.
Literally, they found me passed out, and then I woke up. I remember waking up, and it's been so hot. So I woke up in this white. I was like this, like obviously like this. I woke up freezing cold because it's like aircon in this like white tent cabin thing, like porta cabin thing, and I just saw a white ceiling, and I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. I literally, first thing I was like, because it was so cold, because I knew I'd be so, I was like, it was so bright, and I looked to my side, and there was this boy, and he was like, what are you in for? I stepped on a can. And I was like, where am I? I was like,
I stepped on a can.
I was like, what am I doing? And there's just all these people on these like camper beds
I've
around.
just washed up on shore, mate. Mine trumps yours. Mine trumps. Fucking trod in a can, you pussy.
Literally, I was just like, I was like, and then I get out, and the medical people we want to keep watching. We don't feel like you've had like enough fluids and And I was like, get me out of here.
I was like,
get me out. I'm going, and they were like, right, here's some like electronic hydration juice. I was like, they were like, please, electrolytes. Yeah. They were like, please drink that. And I'm like, yeah, my friends are gonna be so worried about me. How long have we been? Like, we found you passed out by the tap. I was like, oh,
your friends weren't that worried.
I was like, oh God, it's thinking that. Anyway, I walked back towards them, like they were at the beach. They were absolutely fucked. They're like, oh, where have you been? I was like, where have I been? I was like, how long have I been there? And they were like, oh, we thought you were like sleeping. I was like, I was sleeping, but I was in the medical tent. They were like, oh yeah, you just like walked off, and then like that was it. I was like, great friends. But no, I think
that whole trip gives me the worst anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, to be a part of that.
Yeah,
it would be a great television program.
It was
I think would make a great, fantastic television program.
Television just me. Yeah. It's chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Instead of keeping up, it would be, can you keep up?
Can you keep up with Howie? No. Yeah. Old Howie. But Charlie, like, Croatia was actually quite tame because I think that was actually in the same year. Like, I basically got delayed with getting my student loan, and I then got it all in one
that
bit.
Is dangerous.
Like, this is where it sort of comes into being like super careless about everything and anything possible. And then I basically, like, when I first started going out in London as, lesbian, going on the gay scene, me and my like oldest and closest, probably one of my most dearest friends, Tats, we were friends with lots of Brazilians. Don't know how. And we didn't know.
At your school, Brazilians?
No, in Soho.
Oh, okay.
So we started going out in Soho, like 17, 18, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we made some friends. And we just were really naive to the fact of like who these people were. We were like, yeah, this is great. These are great party. Brazilians love to party.
They do.
Like, and we were like, great. We want to be Brazilian. Cool. Let's copy them.
I am now Brazilian.
Anyway, so meeting Brazilian people was great. I went up to uni, and then I literally remember getting a student loan. It was the second term. It was around February time because that was when Rio Carnival was. And I rang Tats. I was like, this was like on a Tuesday. I was like, rang Tats. I was like, Tats. Which she didn't go to uni, so I was like, what are you doing this weekend? Rio Carnival's next week. Let's go. And she was like, what? I was like, let's book a ticket. I've just got a student loan. Let's go. So I literally like spent my student loan on booking a ticket to Rio in Brazil, obviously, for Carnival. And we linked with one of the girls who we sort of knew in London was like, oh, I've got a spare flat. Who has a spare flat in Copacabana? Like you know, when you think back at it now, I'm like, why did you not read the signs? Who casually has a spare flat?
Yeah, I've got a spare flat for a couple of English girls coming to Rio.
Yeah, literally.
Red flag.
Yeah, at the time I was like, great, we'll have it. Like, sorted. This is gonna be the best trip ever. Also, didn't realise how far Rio was at the time. Like, literally, remember getting to Heathrow. I was like, 12 hours. I'm in a onesie. Like. And I've got to get up.
I thought it was just next to Barcelona.
I was like, fuck, this is hard. This is hard going. Anyway, me, Tats, and her ex-partner, we all go to Rio and had the most amazing. Like, honestly, I wish I'd never done Rio at like 22 years old, because I've never had a party like that. I've never seen a party like that. Level. It is, and because we were with Brazilian girls, they knew the hotspot. Anyway, I really hope they're not listening to this. But anyway, so I'm terrified of them.
If you're listening, we're not talking about you. We're talking about someone else.
I'm talking about Irish girls. No, so we obviously get to Rio. We're in Rio, having a great time. We suddenly realised that with the group of people that were with, they just disappeared quite a lot. And I was like, oh, they're like, I've just got to go do something. And I was like, interesting people, but I'm having fun.
Red flag number 2 already.
Red flag number 2. And I'm like, you know, we were just having a great time on the beach and it seen like the most insane like things that we've seen. Like everyone was speaking Portuguese around us because we were loads of Brazilians. So I just sat there in silence, like we were just there. And then all of a sudden, like, got to like halfway through the week, and it must have been like Wednesday. Things just felt strange. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know. I can't describe. It was rough then. This is before the Olympics as well. So they had done a big clean out. So it was quite, it's a dangerous place and you should not.
You still have to be very careful.
Still have to be very, very careful. But so we remember going, we went back to the flat for something. And I basically was like, seeing like a line of like men. And these guys were like, guns. They were like proper, all I can say was like, felt like cartel men, basically. That's what it was. I remember walking into the flat, like corridor, and it was like living room and bedrooms off there. And basically the person's flat was basically, they were prostitutes and they were using the place that they needed extra rooms or whatever. And I was like, and they were going crazy at us. And like all these men were like, you know, just.
So wait, this is like just random, not police, like.
No, this is like, these are I don't know who they were, but they were like, and they had this their table was just covered in like, you know, like drugs and like money and like guns where they like put their stuff there. And I was like, whoa, shit, this is quite scary. Like,
yeah,
like
that's terrifying.
But in terms of like, it wasn't like, it's like.
But you do know self-defense.
If you do know self-defense, it was kind of like, it was a really, really, really strange thing. And so like, anyway, she comes out and she's like, you got to get out, we need the rooms or whatever like that. And I'm like, fuck, like literally like, I was like, oh my God, well, what are we going to do? We're like halfway through the week, like it's Rio Carnival. There's like £500 a night for a room. Like I was like, oh my God, like should get our stuff. And we're like, we need to get out now, that sort of thing. We're like, and I like remember, I was like,
thinking about where you're staying is the last thing on your mind. It's just like, let's
just get out. I was like, get out, whatever. And then I was like, I remember we're us all on the streets, like, okay, like we need to ring home. And I was like, my dad thinks I'm in Nottingham. Like, I cannot.
My dad thinks you're in Nottingham. You're in Rio de Janeiro.
My dad, and at that time, my relationship was like, literally at the time, my relationship with my dad wasn't that great because it wasn't long after they'd found out I was gay. Mm-hmm. So it was very, and I think this self-destruct, like big time, was like part of that. So I remember being like, oh my God. I think my mum knew I was going. My mum did know I was going, but like, not, you know, very safe, whatever. And obviously I didn't tell my dad this side of the story. I had to make up something. Like I had to lie to him. I was like, oh, we're staying in a hostel and there's some really weird men. Anyway, so I remember ringing, I was like, hello? I remember ringing him and I was like, Dad, just need some help. He's like, well, what do you need with? And I was like, please don't be angry. And he was like, why? He goes, I was like, I'm actually in Rio and we've got ourselves into a bit of a pickle. So I just need we need to like get out of our hostel or whatever, because there's some strange people there, which isn't far from the lie. No. You know, whatever. And he was just like, Rio where? And I was like, Brazil. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing in Brazil? And I was like, please don't get angry at me now. I'm stuck in Brazil. I was like, but I just really need some help because I'm really scared for my life. And he was like, oh my God, literally. And he just texted me. He was like, holiday in Copacabana. I've booked you in there. Like, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. Anyway, fucking hell. So we all bunked in this room, carried on partying. Was like, problem solved.
Yeah.
Not our problem anymore. We found somewhere to stay. Now we're going out again. Didn't sleep the whole week. And
that would, like, for me, I'd be like, I need to get the first flight out of here.
Oh,
and you're like, let's just carry on.
Well, yeah, I've got to, there was nothing. I was like, our flights were expensive. So like, yeah, I remember getting back and my dad was very, very, very angry. He was like, you're supposed to be at university. Like, what do you think you're doing?
I was culturally
educating myself. It's looking at the architecture in Brazil. But yeah, I mean, like, that was super reckless.
That's very reckless. Like, that's probably one of the most reckless stories I think I've ever heard anybody do.
And if you're gonna get like kidnapped somewhere, imagine if I get kidnapped and they're like, actually, she didn't get kidnapped in Nottingham. She was actually in Brazil. Yeah, they're like, what the fuck? My parents would, they would kill me.
So on reflection with all this reckless behavior, I would say, and would you say, that you feel like you've kind of come to a point in life now where you've matured, and this is kind of shown through in like relationships and stuff as well, right? Yeah,
100%. I think like dating me in my 20s would have been incredibly difficult, and actually like I was in and out of relationships, and I was probably the fault with a lot of them as well. Like I take full responsibility for like, sort of having that underlying self-destruct button is probably why they didn't work. But I think it was just a realization. Like I actually stopped, like it was like I didn't like that person. And even on a night out now, say if I do get a little bit too drunk or do something the next day, I really don't like that person. And I've like, done a lot of work and like I've done a lot of work to like realize like, and I'm in a lot mentally a better place. Like I really enjoy the relationship that I'm developing with myself. And I always say this, it's like this is the best, most healthiest relationship I've ever had. And it's the one I've got with myself. And putting the time into that. And I really want to, stay single and be single like for as long as possible until that relationship is fully formed. Because like, I still have these urges and I still have these sorts of, these feelings of like, want to be like, fuck it or whatever. But actually I also have a lot more responsibility now with like my house, my dog, and actually like more responsibility for and respect for myself as well. Like where I'm like, nah, like the consequences are higher now. And that sort of stuff.
Especially as you get older as well. And I think, moving to relationships and stuff, you need to be like whole as a person before you can bring someone else in, for sure.
100%.
Well, it's good to hear that you've come full circle and you're on the mend, so to speak. No more crazy behavior, even though I'm sure there will be some crazy behavior in a few days.
Crazy fun. That's not crazy. Like I'm not like into risking my life anymore.
No more Lilos and Serbian pirates.
No more Lilos and Serbian pirates.
To sum it up, but it was absolutely amazing having you. Your stories are incredible. I could literally talk to you for hours. There's so much more to give. But I just want to say huge thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I want to say to everybody, thanks for listening. There is one thing we did on our previous podcast that I have to ask you. So our previous guest was asked a question and they asked, what would your parents look for in your perfect partner? What would your parents want from a partner? For you?
My parents would probably want someone that would look after me and make me happy.
That's a lovely answer. Oh, that's really cute. So funny. We're going to do, what I want you to do is think of potentially a dare for our next guest. So at the end of my next episode, I'm going to give them a truth or dare option. I'll come up with a dare and then I'll come up with a truth.
Okay, I've got one.
But I won't be doing that right now. I'll come up with a truth at some point.
Okay.
Okay.
What should I say, my dare?
Yeah, what's the dare?
Well, they have to do their best Gollum impression.
Oh my God, that is so good. Yes, I love that. That's wicked. Okay, yeah. Whoever's on next is going to have to do that. God, they're going to absolutely love that. I mean, Howie's stories are absolutely incredible and ridiculously crazy. I mean, waiting to hear our next guest. They're going to be as equally as crazy, so definitely tune back in. But yeah, other than that, thank you, Howie. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching. All the best.